Welcome everybody to the Chinchilla Pickin' Podcast. It is July the 27th, 2025 at 4:08 p.m. As always, we hope to be entertaining, educational, and uplifting because we want everyone to make money. My name is David Underwood, and I'm joined by the one and only, the Baron of Bonds himself, Brandon Beaver. Brandon, how's it hanging? What's cooking? What's going on?
It was a great week.
Yeah?
Yeah, awesome week for earnings. Made me very happy. I know it made you very happy.
Well, yeah, yeah, and I'm sure we're gonna get into that. Anything else going on, man? I know it's a huge earnings right now everywhere, but
What else is there to life, Dave?
besides earnings, company earnings, I don't know, man.
The answer is nothing.
This is what I look forward to every quarter, every 3 months.
Yeah, me too.
These few weeks of just high intense, lots of companies reported earnings, earnings everywhere, earnings, earnings, earnings. You get earnings, everybody gets earnings. It's a great few weeks of time.
Yeah, and the shows just write themselves.
Yeah,
Oh,
because I mean, we just go into data, deep dive into the earnings and cover what the companies cover. We look at some of their news. I'm more interested in their guidance because, all right, yeah, they reported. It's already been reported. It's good to cover the numbers a little bit, but I'm more interested in where are we headed with these. Where's this going? Should we buy? Should we sell? Should we hold? What's going on in the future, right? That's what I want to look at. I want to say, all right, here's the report. How do I take this report and determine what I want to do in the future? What's the company's guidance? That's what I want to know. And that's what I want to deep dive into a little bit because we have some big earnings coming up this week. We have a lot of things going on, and it's good to cover these just from a standpoint of letting people know what's going on in the world right now.
yeah.
So,
Hey, did you see that General Motors expecting a $4 to $5 billion hit from tariffs?
and I thought they were an all-American company.
Parts aren't. No, the parts are not.
I was being facetious.
RTX cut its 2025 forecast, citing tariffs. What do you have to say about that, Dave? What do you have to say for yourself? I'm just kidding.
Look, I never, I don't believe I ever said that tariffs are great or fabulous. I believe I said that I understand that this is Trump's way of getting to an end goal.
Sure.
Now, once we get to that end goal, once he accomplishes what he's trying to accomplish, does he revert back to no tariffs or does he keep tariffs? That's the question. I don't know. It's so you don't know with Trump, and that's the thing.
Yeah,
You
I
don't
agree.
know.
I agree.
So, I mean, we're signing deals. I'm going to get into those numbers and some more. We signed I'm not going to get into the EU deal, so we could talk about it right now. We signed a deal with the EU. That's going to be huge. That's going to settle markets because everybody was uncertain about the future. Well, now the deal is signed. Now we know we have uncertainty what the future holds. We know exactly where it's going to be. Now we can make adjustments to our portfolios based off of that.
Agreed.
I don't think there's going to be really any too much buying and selling going on based off the EU deal, though. I think it was all baked in, and I think we're just moving forward.
I agree.
Honestly, I looked at the deal. I mean, the brief. I didn't go in detail, but I looked at the brief overview, the highlights, if you will, of the deal when I was reading down in multiple different articles. Multiple. I don't just go to one source. I read a few of them, and nothing outlandish, nothing that would cause me to say, all right, sell it, or okay, let's buy. Nothing that says back up the truck, not going to happen off this deal.
Right.
But I feel just leave as is and base any future European company purchases based off that company's actual fundamentals themselves. So
I agree.
nice. Well, I mean that made
Well,
it easy. There's no back and forth. There's no bicker and a banter.
well, we got 80% of the companies that have already reported for the S&P 500 now. Um, Blended net profit margin of about 12.3%, which is pretty good. Um, Blended year-over-year earnings growth rate for 6.4%, which is modest, medium. But everybody was expecting 4.8%. Handily beat that. So, I mean, this earnings season right now, well, the reason why it was so good for us, it's not because it was a great earnings season so far, but because it was better than anticipated.
Well, and now we're going to be leading into the second biggest holiday season of the United States, which is Halloween and fall. And that leads right into this first biggest holiday season, which is Christmas holiday, between Thanksgiving and Christmas. But Halloween is now the second biggest commercial holiday in the United States, and that is coming up. And I'm already seeing some of it at. I have a Costco membership. I'm already seeing some at Costco. I'm already seeing some displays at my local grocery store, and I'm just wondering, like, what happened to back to school? First of all, back to school is a huge sale opportunity for retail. Where's that? Why are
Right.
we moving right into Halloween and fall when back to school stuff to happen?
Right.
August is
In
typically
August.
the month of back to school. August is
Yeah.
back to school month. That's when parents go out buy clothes. They buy if your kids going off to college, you're buying typical college furniture, futons, a simple coffee table, a basic dresser. You know what I mean? Those type of things is what you're looking to get if back to school, and then pens and paper and all that, and buying for teachers if you do that sort of thing. That's what happens right now.
Shout out to all the people trapped at our old, well, not trapped. I shouldn't say trapped. Our old company was actually pretty good to us. So I
Yeah,
shouldn't
I
just
mean,
complain
yeah,
about it.
sort
But
of. It
the
was
but
it was it was good in some ways, but a lot of and I don't want to. It's hard, so I can say it legally, but it's hard because I don't want to, because the company
yeah,
when I was there had great benefits. They paid me reasonably fair in comparison to the market as a whole. So I have no complaints in that regard, right? Company was pretty fair, and they had good policies on paper.
yeah.
It was the individuals that did not
They
treat me.
treated me well at the
They did
end.
not
So
treat me
I
well.
and I left. I left just because it was time for me to go. But
Yeah.
anyways, shout out to people dealing with summer sale.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, I do remember that. That was a huge deal. Wow. Yeah. Tempers flew. I need this over here. No. Activity A, B, C, D.
Oh goodness. Yeah. All right.
Good times. Good times.
Yeah.
Nice.
Company rhymes with idea.
uh, all right. Let's get into it. Rules, rules, rules. Brandon and I get together 5 to 10 minutes before the show, and we tell each other what we're going to talk about. You hear the lie back and forth, the bicker and the banter right here on the show for you. Brandon's going to take it away. I always hope that we have a little bit of bicker and banter, because I'm not saying that, like, Brandon, if you and I agree on everything, that's not a good thing. That's a good thing. That's great, right? That means we're in alignment. We both have the same interests at heart. But when we have a disagreement, it shows other people how two individuals can have a disagreement, talk it out, and still disagree. Because I don't know if you're listening to the show. When him and I are having a disagreement on the show, we really disagree. When the show ends, we don't all of a sudden agree. We still disagree, and yet we are still friends, and we still come back on the show a week later and record again. We're able to have that discussion, and I want to make sure everybody out there still is able to do that in their lives. So, Brandon, take it
So,
away.
well, Alphabet. We'll hit Alphabet first. Reported earnings, pretty good earnings. Report for them, 14% year over year increase in consolidated revenues, $96.4 billion.
Nice. That's not a bad quarter, man. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not 100 billion, but
Net income rose by 19%. Yeah, I mean, this is really good compared to where the stock is valued.
this is a mature company that has growth. So, what I mean by that, Brandon, is a non-mature company that is experiencing good growth. You would look to see about 50% growth.
Right.
Um, and that means that they're still exploding. They're still getting their products out to the market. They're still trying to find their customer base. Google's a mature company. They already have established everything. What they're doing is they're continuing to find ways to grow year over year. So you're looking at that 10 to 20% growth range.
Right, right. I heard from the CEO on the conference call. He said that artificial intelligence is positively impacting every part of the business.
I tell you what, I use Google Gemini pretty much daily now. So
I'm
I would
subscribed
say,
to it. I have
yeah.
I have Gemini Pro.
See, hey, I don't have Gemini Pro. How much is that?
I don't remember. I'm not
You're like,
sure.
you do not obviously do the finances in your household. You're like, I don't
So,
know. I just subscribe. You know.
so I honestly, I was like, all right, I'm gonna subscribe to this, and then I'm gonna get rid of my Wall Street Journal membership. And then I went to cancel my Wall Street Journal membership, and they're like, "Oh, if you stay on, it'll only be like $9 a month or something like that." So I didn't cancel that either. So
So you're saying I should go to Wall Street Journal, try to cancel, and then they'll give me a lower deal.
that is the secret every time. Honestly, I've went to cancel that membership multiple times, and then I just keep getting better deals and staying on.
Nice. Nice. So I'm the one paying for all that with my regular premium price deal with them. So fair enough. Anyways, Google Gemini AI, Google
Yeah.
AI.
And they're increasing the capital expenditure from $75 billion to $85 billion. And the reason for that is because Google Cloud was just off the charts. And now they've got a massive backload of customers. And they're just trying to build out this AI infrastructure. So this increase of capital expenditures is actually financially relevant to them. It's not, we're going to increase because Meta did, or we're going to increase because Amazon did our capital expenditures. It's we're increasing our capital expenditures on this because we have to, and because it financially makes sense.
So they're actually seeing some results. They see the future. They see that they can actually make a great profit off of it. So like let's put some more money into this and let's expand it as necessary because our customer base is growing, which is
Right,
the right reasons. Yeah, I like
right.
that.
So the services revenue increased 12% to $82.5 billion. They said that that was actually due to the performance of search and YouTube advertising, which was something I was looking for because I wanted to see what your search revenue is going to be. They don't actually make this like search thing easy to figure out because they couple it with other things. But advertising revenue is the point for this, and that's the
Yep.
driver, the biggest driver of Google. And so if they want to lump it with YouTube, I guess it's okay. There's another section in the financial report which is search and other, and that
Well,
drives me nuts because now you're coupling search with Waymo. But
I mean, like you got to couple it with YouTube because if I go to Google and I want to advertise, they're going to advertise it on YouTube and Google both.
right,
And so it's kind of all coupled together. I can advertise wherever with Google.
right. So the AI mode for search, which was launched back in May, now has, and I don't know how they calculate this, but I'll trust them, over 100 million monthly active users in the United States and India. AI
Nice.
overviews, which I honestly, this is the weak spot, dude. Like, if you've ever used AI overviews in the search, I see a
Not
lot of
yet.
misinformation here. And I tell people all the time, yeah, you're going to get some weird search results in the AI overview, but if
What is
Gemini, you'll
AI
get it right.
overview?
So when you do a search on Google.com, the thing that pops up at the top is an AI overview that's a
Oh, okay,
specific
gotcha.
question. And half the time I use it, it gets my question or my answer wrong. But Gemini always gets it right. So use Gemini. Don't use the AI
Yeah,
search
and
overviews for now.
the more you use it, I find the better you get at creating your prompts and wording things the right way.
Yeah, I agree. They said that this is actually driving 10% more queries globally. So search is going higher because of it. Um, Subscriptions, platform, and devices that had a 20% increase. And that's $11.2 billion now in revenue. They said that that was mostly because of the YouTube subscription offerings and Google One. I'm a subscriber now because of Gemini, which is huge. I mean, it's a great deal. Like if you go into there, you can create a podcast on it now. So create a
Yeah.
search. So if you do a in-depth report on it and then click on the research button, once that's done, you can create an audio overview and it does a podcast for you based on the
Really?
information. Yeah,
I wonder if you could just post that and then make money off the advertisement.
maybe. I don't know. I think it's technically public domain. Maybe.
Is it?
Why are we talking on this podcast, Dave? It could be done by artificial intelligence.
Let's just have
Do it.
Gemini write it, man. What are we doing? Just put our faces on. They could talk for us.
Right. I think it's a female and a male, so one of us has got to be the female in the relationship.
You have the longer hair, so
Uh, the Gemini app now boasts more than 450 million monthly active users. That's big.
that is good.
450 million. Google Cloud was the big deal here, though. Revenue surged 32% to 13.6 billion. The first quarter of 2020, revenue for them was 2.8 billion dollars. Now this quarter, 13.8 billion. That's pretty explosive growth.
Yeah, I think they're taking business from Microsoft Office, and people are switching to Google because it's cheaper. Companies are.
The Google Cloud backlog, and I know this is a double-edged sword. $106 billion dollars.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's that capital expenditure increase from 75 to 85 billion. That's why that's happening.
Yeah.
Most of it at least, and that's why it makes sense. So it's good for us to read, and it's a good kind of, gives us a good feel for what the revenue is going to be here for the next couple of quarters. Looking pretty good, as long as none of those orders cancel, and as long as they can fulfill them in a timely, manner.
Yeah.
So, by the way, this is a doubling of deals year over year for Google Cloud. 28% quarter over quarter increase in Google Cloud Platform customers. That was the big deal for this report. That's why the stock went higher afterwards.
Well, I mean, yeah, and Google's going to continue to grow. I firmly price it around 220.
Yeah. You had this weird reaction to the stock that I think initially was a sell the news kind of thing. But the thing about Google is that the stock price had been subdued compared to its peers like Meta
Yep.
and Amazon anyways. But so people started to sell the news on this. It started to dip about 1% and then it just went right back up. So,
It's initial investment bank traders trying to guess which way it's going to go very quickly off the headlines about getting time without taking time to read into the actual numbers.
yeah.
And sometimes they get it wrong. Sometimes
So
they get it
don't do
right.
that.
Sometimes they get it wrong. Huh?
Don't react right away. There's a good reason to not
Yeah.
react right away to the numbers. Newmont Corporation reported after earnings, it was down after hours 1%, and the next day it was like 7, 8% to the upside.
So yeah, before we
So,
get into Newmont, let's wrap up Google here. What did they say about their guidance going forward and about their legal troubles? Because I did not listen. I wanted to listen to the earnings call, but I did not get a chance to listen. Did they say anything about their legal troubles? And then what did they give for guidance?
guidance was, I believe, it was confirmed. I don't think it was raised, if I don't
So just
remember.
staying right where they're at for the
Yeah,
rest of the
and
year.
I didn't pay attention for the legal troubles. That's kind of a every quarter thing.
Yeah,
And
but that's their
with the
biggest
headwind,
headwind. That's their biggest headwind. How
yeah,
can you
but
not
here's
pay
the
attention to
thing,
that? I mean, what's
because
going
it's
on?
because it is every tech company's biggest headwind, so it cancels out to me. I mean, every day there's a new lawsuit to Google or Meta or somebody from the or European Union or from the New York Attorney General, and it never matters.
That's like the biggest job security for a lawyer is be a lawyer for Google or Meta or
It is, but the stock never reacts to it. So,
oh, Google stock reacts to some of the bigger headlines. They do.
I mean, yeah, Meta had Cambridge Analytica, but yeah, those lawsuits to me, I'm like, unless it's an eye-popping number, the company that
Apple gets sued all the time for their Play Store
90,
monopoly.
yeah, and again, another cash cow, and a lot of that's just like money found in a couch cushion to them.
Gotcha.
So,
All right, so I'm still gonna own it. I'm not selling. Done.
yeah, me too, and I think it's a good buy for anybody who doesn't own it.
Even after this run up,
Even after the run up, yeah, because it wasn't that big of a run up in the
I
long
don't
term.
think it
You're
was
buying
either.
it, and you're saying that it's going to be, 10 to 20 years from now, if this thing's, doubled or tripled in size, who cares about 2, 3% if you're going to buy and hold for the long run?
Right. I mean, but the only thing I'm wary of, Brandon, is every 20, 30 years, there's the newest, biggest company that comes out. And like we talked about, was it last week or the week before, that of the Mag 7, only one of them was around 30 years ago? Only
Yeah.
one. Oh,
Yeah.
no, two. Two of them were around 30 years
Google.
ago. It was Apple and Microsoft. All the other
Right.
ones were just in around that time 30 years ago being created. And it's, that's the only thing I try to be aware of, that, hey, Google may not be around forever.
What did
Microsoft may not be around forever. There will be another company that comes out and replaces them.
when did Google come out? I'm searching this. I'm asking Google, when were you invented? 1998. So you're right. 30 years ago, it was not here.
Yeah, same with Nvidia. Around that time for Nvidia. Tesla, same with that. All these companies, again, 30 years ago, not around. Or they were in the process of getting started. That's
Yeah.
it, man. You don't know, like there could be a company getting started right now that's going to replace these. So that's why I always think about when I want to be careful. I always say I don't see any reason in the next 5 years for this to be going anywhere.
Right.
And I try to do in 5 year chunks,
Right.
you know, and frame it that way. I think Tesla is the only one that I see right now. Tesla and Google and Microsoft are the only ones I see right now that look to have a stronger future over 10 years out. And that's because Tesla has those autonomous robots, the Optimus robots that are going to be taking over warehouses, I believe in 10 years. And then, Google and Microsoft are in every business and company with their sheets and documents and Office and all that. So they're everywhere still. There's nothing that's going to replace them anytime soon.
Mhm.
So, all right, moving on. You said you had Newmont mining or Newmont?
Right. So let me tell you this real quick, though, because we were just talking about like, who was big and who wasn't big back then. In 1980, IBM was like the future, right?
Yeah, they're still around. They
It was
they
the
have a
future.
viable company right now. It's just not near as big as it was.
So if you would have bought in 1980 and you still had the day, you would have made 125,611% on your. Yeah. So I mean, even that, and I know see, people say all the time like time in the market is better than timing the market, which by the way, those people don't know how to read charts. That is
Yeah, but
crap.
that's 45-year time frame. In 45 years, I'm not guaranteed to be around.
This is true. That is true. Neither am I. But I'm just saying, like that was I picked 1980 because IBM at the time that was like, oh, this is the future, and that was the company of the future back then. That's kind of what everybody was jumping into. And then 1980, yeah, it would be a big percentage gain for you. Um, but that, I mean, that is still kind of the case. Like time in the market is very important. And if you have a company that's still running pretty well, 20, 30 years from now, you're probably going to be pretty good in it, even if it's not, the leader anymore, so to speak.
Yeah, Buffett made a majority of his money after he turned what, 50, 60?
Right. Yeah. And when did he buy Coke? He bought it during the new Coke scandal in the 1980s. I mean, you're not timing the market because of, technicals or anything. You're buying when nobody else wants to.
Yeah.
And if you did that in April of this year, you're doing better than everybody else. You're
I
doing
go
better
back to this
than the entire
I
market
go
by a lot.
Yeah, I go back to the story of this gentleman. I told him to buy Micron technology back in the day. And Micron at that time was like $24, like 70 cents or whatever. He put a buy in, a limit order buy for 24.50. He said, I want that 25 cents less um a share. That's gonna make me just that 25 cents more. And I said, just go ahead and buy it. I said it's gonna move up.
Yeah.
They got some good news coming up this week. It's gonna jump. Go ahead and buy it right now. And this was discussion. We went back and forth. This is like 2000, I don't remember, 14, 15, somewhere around there. And he did not end up, his limit order did not go through, and Micron Technology jumped to $40 a share. he missed out because of 25 cents.
I know.
And I
Yeah.
was like, that's ridiculous, man.
No,
Come
yeah,
on.
no, just let it go.
You're
Right.
trying to penny a market. Come on.
Right. Then don't chase it after that. You made the mistake. The train's gone.
Right? Yeah. It's already left.
Yeah. There'll be
Move
another
on.
one.
Move on. You'll catch more. There's
Right.
a bull market everywhere. I mean, I know Jim Cramer says that, but he's right. There
This is,
is, but you'll find one.
yeah. But why? Search for the bear market sometimes. I mean, sometimes the bull markets are okay. I bought Nvidia in the middle of a bull market. I bought Palantir in the middle of a bull market. So I guess you're right. But anyway, so yeah, second quarter of 2025, GE Vernova reported a total of $9.1 billion. That's 11% increase or 12% on an organic basis. This was driven primarily by demand from data centers. Surprise. Huge drive from demand from data centers. Almost $500 million in orders received in the first half of 2025. That full year of 2024, they had orders of $600 million. So we're already 500 million there. We're going to probably double, I would say, what their orders were just full year last year.
And this is why I bought in. This is why you bought in. This is why we continue to say that this company is going to continue to grow.
Yeah. And the reason why the stock went up as much as it did, they raised their full year guidance to the high end of 36 billion to 37 billion dollars. Adjusted EBITDA margin range is now 8 to 9%. Expectations for cash flow have been raised. Some are saying this is going to be a range of $3 billion to $3.5 billion of free cash flow. This is a company that just a couple of years ago had zero free cash flow.
So yeah, this company's a win. It's
I
a
agree.
win.
I agree.
And the thing that's making it a win, that's really driving it home, I have to say, is the data centers. It's AI. It's really affecting GE
Right.
Vernova.
And the biggest laggard for this company is wind. It still is wind, but they're saying second half of this year to be profitable.
Yeah, but that's all governments. A lot of that's government subsidies paying for that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They said that they're at the beginning of an investment super cycle into more reliable baseload power, grid infrastructure, and decarbonization solutions.
What does that mean?
So that means that for them, more money is coming. That super cycle that so $500 million came from I think it was $500 million. They got a deal with Saudi Arabia for grid stabilization, and I think it was 500 million from them. And that was a big one, but they've got more coming, so to speak.
Yeah. So I mean they're going to be signing some big deals and they're saying more big deals are coming. We're in talks. All good news. It's going to continue to
Oh,
grow. My call is this is a buy. You should get in.
I have to correct myself. It was a $1.5 billion deal.
Even better.
Saudi Arabia.
Same
I
statement,
agree.
even better. Just instead of one exclamation point, now two exclamation points.
Right. So
Hashtag win in.
Newmont is a company that I own that two
This is the
reasons.
first of all, I want to interrupt. This is the only one of these three that you said you were going to cover that I don't own. So
Yeah,
let's
I own all of these companies, but Newmont caught my attention. Number one, I don't know if you saw the news on this. On Tuesday, July 23rd, 2025, two fall of ground incidents occurred at the Red Chris operation in British Columbia. What that means is that they had some miners down in there. Actually, these were subcontractors that were down in the mine, and the ground collapsed in on them. And they were trapped there for 3 days. Um, there's an investigation going on into how that happened and why it happened, but the safety protocols that Newmont had in place worked. So they had an underground refuge for the miner or for the subcontractors, whatever those guys were down there. Those guys were able to make it to the underground facility, to the refuge that had food and water and that was plenty stocked prior to the second fall of ground incident, which I think would have been catastrophic for them had they still been in the same spot. After 3 days, they were able to be rescued,
Nice.
reporting
Good.
no health concerns, nothing like that, and they're back with their families, which is a huge deal. Um, yeah, more they were trapped for more than 60 hours. But they're saying they're in good health and good spirits, reunited with their families. Rescue operation was described as a carefully planned and meticulously executed plan. So far what I'm seeing, this is a risk that you take as being a miner, right? The safety plans that Newmont has seem to be pretty good.
Good. And this all came out right before their earnings.
And yeah, and no fatalities, no hospitalizations, nothing like that. From what I saw, this is a learning curve for them. So, if they go into this and they can investigate this and figure out something that they could have done better, then this is something that they can learn from. Um, Now the earnings took backseat to all of that, of course. It was one of the reasons why I think Newmont went down at first on earnings, and then the day after this thing shot back up because these guys got rescued, and turns out they were just fine. So they reported revenues of $5.32 billion for the second quarter of 2025, 20% increase year over year. Look at the price to earnings ratio on this, Dave. It was like 8. Now I think it's like 10. So revenue
Okay.
increase of 20.8%, um, comfortably above estimates. Earnings per share was $1.43, 99% increase year over year on EPS.
That's a huge increase on EPS, first of all.
Right.
And then the price, the PE ratio, the only thing is when I look at a PE ratio by itself, right, Brandon,
Right.
I get worried if it's always the same no matter what the price of the stock is, because I've seen this before. Micron Technology, I go back to that one. I've traded
Yeah,
that
but
stock
look,
for
the
years.
the thing is if we would have bought and held and been more patient with it, then we would have been rewarded eventually,
Yes.
handsomely.
But sometimes there's reasons why PE ratio is the way it is. That's why we look at all these. That's why you started mentioning other statistics because it's just a piece of the puzzle. So the other statistics tell the whole story in combination.
Right. And when General Motors been under 10, the entire American auto sector under other than Tesla under than 10 for years and years and years.
Yeah,
And I mean General Motors just kind of showed why over the past year they've had terrible earnings.
yeah. And Ford's always been within in the past like what 15 years
Right.
in that $8 to $15 range. Has
Newmont
never
is
broken out
yeah, Newmont is the world's I think they're the largest gold producer. 1.5 million gold
over
ounces.
Freeport
I believe
or
they are.
Rio.
They produced 1.5 million attributable gold ounces in the quarter. 36,000 tons of copper. And they're maintaining their full year production guidance. Red Chris, where the incident was reported. This is not a currently producing mine, but they're expecting it to be fairly important for copper in the future. So even though it's not producing anything right now, the fact that they've shut it down for this investigation and we don't know when it's going to open back up, eventually that could have an effect on the stock.
Gotcha. All right. So we feel good, hopeful call
Yeah,
buy
I think
stock.
Newmont's still a buy, I think. Yeah, if inflation goes up, the price of gold goes up.
I
Goes
think you've hit
down
it.
and their cost of doing business goes down as well. So
There you go. A buy, and a buy.
agree.
All right. Let's do a hard transition here. Sorry. If you're watching this on YouTube, I just ate a snack and, sorry, apologize. Um, let's talk trade deals, right? Because this is apparently what I cover now every week is the latest and greatest on the trade deals. Um, let's go with Japan and the chip makers because it's going to affect. I mean, the EU deal was a big deal, huge deal. Japan's trade deal has an effect on Taiwan as well, and here's how. So this is a article that came out on Reuters. It came out yesterday at 11:26 a.m. Says Japan says $550 billion package and trade deal could finance Taiwanese chipmaker in the U.S. So that was part of the agreement that they had with the U.S. tariff deal was that Japan would invest $550 billion in the United States. Well, what they said, what they're learning is they can use that money to go ahead and give to Taiwan Semiconductor to build a chip manufacturing plant in the United States. Or TSMC is saying that, hey, let me just take 100 billion of it or 65 billion of that and use to build some of our plants in the United States. And the Trump administration is saying that they are good if those two countries or companies or however you want to word it kind of put their trade deals together and use that money in that regard. Everybody's okay with
So
that. There's nothing saying that they have
Japan,
to be separate.
Japan and Taiwan Semiconductor?
Yeah. So Japan's trade deal that they announced that they would invest X amount of dollars can be used to fund Taiwan Semiconductor's deal that was part of Taiwan's plan deal. They can be used in conjunction with each other. In other words,
Why? I wonder why.
I don't know, but
Why would that
they
even
said
be a good
everybody
thing?
said it's okay and they could do that.
Okay. Why? I don't know why they'd want to.
Hey,
It's two
it all
different
works together.
countries. Taiwan's not in Japan. It's
Yes, I know, but this the article goes into if you read the articles on the Reuters Newswire, covers it all.
okay.
Um, Go ahead.
No, you're good.
All right, so most of this $550 billion is going to come from loans and guarantees. The White House actual statement is that the U.S. will retain 90% of the profits from this package. Crazy. Clarified that the figure refers only to returns on investment and equity, which will represent a small fraction of the total returns. While Japan initially hoped to secure half of all the returns and a loss from the concession on profit sharing would be marginal compared to the roughly 10 trillion yen or 67 billion in tariff costs that could be avoided if everybody agrees to this deal. So,
Okay.
yeah. So
So
Japan's
there's a
yeah,
condition here that says that Taiwan Semiconductor must use Japanese components or tailor their products to meet Japanese demand.
there you go.
I don't know what the last part of that means. It doesn't specify, but
Well, this goes hand in hand with this next article, right? This next article, and that's why I want to jump right into this because they go together. So this was released 41 minutes before we started this podcast at 4 p.m. So 3:20. The headline reads: U.S. to release result of probe into chip imports in 2 weeks. So they're going to release. They did this whole probe in the chip imports, saying whether or not it violates this or it's a security risk here, what have you. They're going to release the results in 2 weeks. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said on Sunday, as President Trump suggested, higher tariffs were on the horizon. They said they were going to release these results in 2 weeks. He told reporters after a meeting between Trump and European Commission President Ursula von they lay in that the investigation was one of the key reasons that the European Union sought to negotiate a broader trade agreement that would resolve all things at one time. So they're saying that these investigations kind of made the EU come to the table quicker to go ahead and get in front of what they were looking into and what they found. So it allowed that the deal that was announced was across the board 15% tariffs on EU in products entering in, but Trump said the agreement with the EU was included autos, which face a higher 25% tariff under a separate tariff action. So it's very complicated when you start looking into this, right?
Mhm.
Now the probe itself it was being conducted under Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act of 1962 and it could lay the groundwork for new tariffs on imports in both sectors, auto and just strictly semiconductors by themselves. They have a separate investigation under the same law onto imports of copper and lumber as well. So Everybody's trying to rush to get to the table and secure these deals before these investigations get announced and finalized.
Gotcha.
And that's what's so big about these announcements. And that's why I believe Japan and Taiwan were in a hurry to rush, especially those two countries have a big deal with semiconductors and they need them. And so it was important to get it done before all these investigations were complete and they would come to the table with what they want to do moving forward.
Gotcha.
All right. So as far as investments goes, it doesn't change any of the investments I currently have. But if I owned Taiwan Semiconductor, I would be a little concerned about what this report says, having read all these articles. I would be concerned. I would be worried. If you were thinking about buying a semiconductor, I would put on pause until we hear what the report says. If you already own one, I would just hold if you don't have another reason to sell. I would just hold until after the report comes out.
Okay.
So that's my advice or tips or whatever you want to call it, I guess. What I would do is I'm just saying this is what I would do. Last headline is this came out just today at 1:10 p.m. Facebook co-founder Dustin Moskovitz just doubled down on Asana, Asana, with a big stock buy. So Dustin Moskovitz is the director of Asana and has increased his stake in the company. He acquired another 225,000 shares over there just recently this past week. Average price of $15.04 a share. His total investments, are currently now up to 54 million shares plus, approximately $818 million worth of shares. So huge owner of this company. He's one of the biggest insiders of this company. He wants to show belief in the company as it moves forward. Well, if I own that many shares of a company, I would too. I would want other stockholders to want to really jump in on this. The thing with Asana is I looked into some of their numbers. Great profit margin, by the way, 92% profit margin. Love to see
Wow.
that, right? Debt to assets wasn't quite where I wanted it. Um, the revenue is in the hundreds of millions. I see why it's at $15 a share. It's not in the billions yet. It's a software and advice company for other companies. So kind of like a SAP or Workday or Okta or something like that, working with other companies. It jumped up to $150 a share in the after COVID for about 1 year, and then it came back down, and it's been hovering between the 10 to $25 range ever since.
Wow.
So about 2022, it came back down, and it's been staying in that range for the last 3 years, and has not worked out of that range. And he's trying to make a push to broader commercialize and grow the company. I don't know. I don't know. I understand the thought and reasoning behind here. Everybody thought that this would break out when everybody was working at home and we had to use broader communication style. But then other companies such as Slack really took off. Other Salesforce took off. Those companies really benefited from it. His company Asana did not benefit as much as the others, and it's seen in the stock price. And so I am not a buyer at all of this company. So
Yeah.
I just want to cover what the headline says, what I looked into based off the headline, and where I'm at right now.
Okay, cool.
All right, let's get into some earnings, shall we?
Hmm.
Big week of earnings. I don't have time. Again, if you're listening, I don't have time to cover every great company that has report earnings this week, right? I'm only going to cover like the big names, the big news, or anything that I'm interested in, and then that's what I cover. So I keep getting people say, "Hey, you didn't say this. You didn't say." There's too many. So Tuesday before the bell, we have P&G. That's a big one. It usually gives you a broad base and lets you see how the whole overall market economy is doing. Also, Ares Capital, that's one I own. And I've recommended on the show to people to own if they're looking for a dividend paying stock. That's a good, the earnings calls are usually determined whether or not I want to continue holding it or not. It gives me an update on the company. They've been really consistent and reliable. I don't see a reason for me to sell unless they have some huge negative news coming out, but we would have seen the stock price show that already ahead of time. Also, Tuesday before the bell, United Health. There are some huge headwinds here with United Health right now. I want to see what they have to say about their legal issues and concerns. Brandon, I know you have something you mentioned earlier this week in our group chat about United Health has some headwinds, but
Oh my goodness, yeah. I mean, the
let's
worst of the worst.
yeah, yeah, let's see what happens. Unfortunately, they have a new CEO, of course, and we all know why. But then the ends it doesn't end there. They had another big relevant legal issues and challenges starting in court this week as well. After the bell on Tuesday, Starbucks. I want to see how the new CEO was doing in the most recent quarter. See if maybe this is opportunity to get in on Starbucks after they had to dip down because of the change. In the changes. No, they had to dip up because they brought in the Chipotle CEO. I had it reversed in my mind. I don't know why I did, but I did.
What's a
Hey,
dip up?
the gap up. They gap. Thank you for correcting me. Gap up. Man, it's a good thing we've known each other for what, 15, 16 years? Man, I've known you too long. All right. Wednesday before the bell, Altria Mo. That's another one I recommend on the show. It has gapped up a ton over the past year. Really moved up strong. I want to see if they are seeing the continued growth or not. After the bell on Wednesday, we have a lot. Ready? I'm only going to cover four. Four. It's too many on after the bell on Wednesday to really cover everything. Pick and choose. There's a lot to cover on Wednesday. You have ARM Holdings, semiconductors. See what they have to say about the latest report. You got Meta coming out. That's a big one. Microsoft coming out after the bell on Wednesday, and Robinhood coming out after the bell on Wednesday. A lot of news. I want to see Robinhood in regard to crypto and retail trading, but Meta and Microsoft are a good driver of the overall markets as well currently. Um, Thursday before the bell, CVS. The reason why I watch them, they're one of the biggest, if not the biggest PBM in the United States as far as pharmacies, pharmaceutical. Trump has been very critical of the pharmaceutical industry. He has been calling for a crackdown of the pharmaceutical industry and making prices on drugs. The United States pay no less than the cheapest one elsewhere, so on and so forth. We've heard a lot about this. I want to see what they have to say on their earnings call in regard to that law there, and then the whole Medicare investigations going on. What CVS has to say about that. So after the bell on Thursday, we have Amazon Prime Day. How did they do? What are the numbers from Prime Day? I know Brandon, you said they had a great week, but did I have not? Did Amazon already report? Am I reading this
I
wrong?
believe they did. Let me look it up.
All right. So while Brandon's looking up, I'm going to continue. Coinbase coming up after the bell. Maybe I have the wrong week, and I'm just reading off things that I've already reported. Coinbase after the bell on Thursday. That's another one. And
No, you're right. Amazon reports on July 31st.
yep. So you were looking at e-commerce sales for the previous week. It was the week I was
Right.
off in Florida, and e-commerce sales as a whole was up. It was a
Right.
great week for e-commerce sales. Apple question mark I have here because they don't know if they're going to report this week or not. They're in as a maybe, which is weird for Apple. Usually they have an exact date and they even have told you ahead of time how they're going to report. So question mark Apple maybe Thursday after the bell. But Coinbase is crypto market. I own crypto. I trade crypto. I want to see how they're doing. And then Friday, Exxon and Chevron. Let's see the oil market and oil futures. Possible sanctions coming on Russia. A lot of headlines calling for that from Trump because he's now taking a side in the Russian-Ukraine war and he's siding with Ukraine and threatening Putin with oil sanctions. What does Exxon and Chevron have to say about the current global geopolitical landscape in regards to oil? Because there's a lot there. I'm out of breath now. That is just a small smidgen of the earnings this week. So lots to look at. Lots to look at. Brandon, final thoughts.
Yeah, by Google. I thought it was a good earnings report. I like the increase of revenue with cloud the most, obviously. But one thing I didn't talk about already was the increase of the subscriptions, and the fact that that actually is going to help Google kind of mitigate the fact that the advertising revenue is so cyclical, right? So, when advertising revenue goes down because people are spending less money, those subscription numbers should hold up a little bit better. than advertising revenue does. So that's very important for them to stabilize, the volatility of their earnings is to get that subscription revenue up, and that was like one of the biggest drivers for me to call the stock still a buy on the show right now was that subscription revenue. I like all three of the companies that I own or that I just talked about. I own them, so I still think that they're all buys. Meta will be interesting for me. That's my largest holding. So
It
we'll
is,
see.
and it's one you've made a ton off of.
Yeah.
All right.
But you
Um,
know what? The bar was set so low for earnings going into these earnings reports, and now I wonder if we've kind of adjusted it now that 80% of companies have reported that might not be so good for Meta this week because now the expectations are higher.
they can be higher. They can be higher. Um, yeah. I don't have any big calls or buys this week, man. I tell you what, I'm going to shift it because I'm doing a hard transition here. I'm just going to move forward. Robinhood is one I'm watching because now we've had like two full quarters of them, or three full quarters of them having these quote unquote option contracts where it's basically betting on things. And I want to see how much money that is actually bringing in if they report it or if they just include it in with all their other option contracts and see what's going on there. But curious to see what they have to say. I'm really going to be, if I have to choose one on Wednesday after the bell, because there's so many to choose from. Robinhood's definitely one, and I'm with you, Meta. I'll definitely look at Meta just because AI, and I want to see, Zuckerberg's been very transparent on his AI expenditures and where he's spending his money, so I want to see what
Right.
he has to say. But pharmaceutical, that's where my focus is right now because of the all the news and articles I'm seeing is about that's going to be Trump's next focus after these trade deals wrap up. And I want to know what these healthcare companies are saying. You got United Healthcare, Cigna, CVS, a lot of big healthcare companies reporting this week. It's good to see what they're going to give on guidance going forward and where if they feel like they're going to be able to argue against the current administration against these possible pharmaceutical changes or not. We'll
Gotcha.
see. All right. Well, thanks for listening. If you want to hit the subscribe button, we are on YouTube. We're on everywhere now. Well, thanks to Brandon Beaver right there. Thank you, Brandon. Fantastic job. He's one of the best analysts I've ever ran into as far as research and analyzing news and data I've ever met.
One
So,
of,
right. As always, we hope we have been entertaining, educational, and uplifting because we want everyone to make money. Have a good night.
if we were boring, it's because you're stupid. I'm just kidding. Have a good night. Where's the stop button? There it is. I mean, there's kind of this two-edged sword that happens, right? Inflation increases, so cost pressures increase for new
But then
models.
if
And gold
inflation
goes
goes up,
up.